Hello, saints and scholars. Welcome back to Theo Life, where today we're going to ask, what is good? Why be good? Who is good? It's the Axiological Argument. The Axiological Argument is an apologetic argument for the existence of God based on the existence of objective moral values. The Axiological Argument, sometimes called the moral argument, comes from the Greek word axios, which means worth or value. It's an argument based on the existence of objective moral values. We live in a moral universe. It only takes a few minutes of social media scrolling to see someone express moral outrage about a situation they find intolerable. I'm sure you yourself many times have experienced moral revulsion or been very happy to see someone do something good in the world.
Justice.
This leads to the question, what is the basis of this moral universe? Summed up, if moral values do exist, what is the basis for these moral values? Christians believe that God himself is the basis for moral values. God is the source of goodness, morality, and perfection, what the medieval theologians called the summa bonum, meaning the ultimate good. And the very fact that we as human beings have a strong, throbbing conscience shows us that there is a basis for this morality.
And always let your conscience be your guide.
Now, we may look at individuals and find occasionally people who have no conscience, but we find when groups come together and form a community, those communities tend to be based on ethics. And any community that survived for any length of time was based on a common shared understanding of moral values. So even societies tend to form themselves around an objective set of moral values. Let's break the Axiological Argument down into a syllogism. Premise 1. If all humans have an objective moral value and duty, then a transcendent lawgiver exists. All human beings recognize that there is a form of moral values that do exist in the universe. You may have heard someone say, morals are subjective to each individual. Each person has to do what's right in their own eyes. To which you may respond, I'm going to steal your iPhone and your wallet, and that is totally acceptable in my eyes. You can't do that. That's not fair. That's not right. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought there was no moral values and I could do what was ever right in my own eyes. If we acknowledge that these laws exist, what is the basis of these laws? Why should human beings not murder or steal or commit genocide? Why is truth inherently valuable? If something is objective, there must be a basis for that objective standard. Let's put it a different way. Here's a question. Which way is north? If you look at a map, should it be faced this way? Or should it be faced this way? How about this way? In the weird coldness of space, there's no way of knowing if our Earth should face up or down or sideways or any of that kind of stuff. But we do know that the Earth actually spins on an axis, and the measurement of that can be found in magnetic north. Take out a compass and it will naturally point to magnetic north. And this is universally agreed upon to be an objective standard way to measure which direction is north. In the similar question, if we were to say do not steal, what is the basis for not stealing? Unfortunately, we don't have a magnetic north which points in a certain direction, which tells us which moral action to take. But if God exists, then he would provide for us a basis for our moral understanding of the universe. So what is the basis upon which we can build our moral foundation? The Christian proposes that God is the basis for objective moral standard in the universe. Try to imagine it another way. Let's say there's a building and you want to know if the building was built correctly. You can ask the builder, but the builder can only tell you how the building was built. You can ask the county surveyor, but the county surveyor can only tell you what the building presently looks like and what they want it to look like. Only the architect can tell you how the building was supposed to look. It is only the one with the original vision of how they wanted things to be that can be the basis for how things are supposed to be. Within the universe, we can have moral commentators who can tell us how they would like the world to be. You can have sociologists who tell us what the world is like, but it is only the designer of the world that can tell us how the world is supposed to be and what a moral universe is supposed to look like. Since we feel this drive for objective morality, there must be a measurement for that morality. And the creator of the moral universe would be the best person to look to for the basis of the moral universe. Therefore, if humans have objective moral value, then a transcendent lawgiver must exist. Premise 2, objective moral values do exist. It is very clear we live in a world where certain values are unacceptable. We live in a world where kindness and charity are universally praised, whereas murder and thievery are near universally condemned. Some may argue this could be the basis of culture, but actually we see this from a very early age in children. Dr. Felix Warwikin performed a series of fascinating experiments on children, showing that when they were given an opportunity, a child would naturally perform an altruistic task. They may see someone struggling to open a door, carrying a heavy set of books, and even though they don't know the person and have not seen this task done before, they will automatically go to help the adult, showing children have a naturally altruistic side. This is even the case with children who are playing, and even though helping someone out has a social cost as they would have to stop playing, we find that children will still naturally move towards doing a kind thing, a sacrificial thing, in order to help someone out, showing that even babies have an innate sense of morality and helping those in need. Some have suggested that babies just do this in order to be morally praised by adults around them, but we find when the experiment is repeated and the adults are not looking at the baby and give the baby no affirmation for doing something kind, the child will continue to perform altruistic tasks to help others, showing that a sense of morality and decency is ingrained within children from an extremely early age. We see this experiment even go down to a deeper level. When a baby is shown an example of toys playing together, and one toy behaves selfishly, yet another toy behaves selflessly, the child will be drawn to the toy that performs selflessly. Not only does the child admire selfless behavior, but wants to be socially associated with the selfless character by playing with the toy they associate as being selfless. It's almost impossible to chalk this up to cultural conditioning because babies as young as 3 months old are drawn to play with the selfless character. Some people even argue that God himself does not exist because they see some atrocities in the Bible or bad behavior from the church. Yet this is an application of a universal moral standard. They're appealing to a transcendent law code to condemn a transcendent lawgiver. Irish theologian C.S. Lewis breaks down this argument in his own experience.
My argument against God was that the universe seems so cruel and unjust. But how can I have got this idea from just or unjust? A man does not call a line crooked unless he has some idea of a straight line. What was I then comparing the universe with when I called it unjust?
Therefore stating that universal moral values do exist. So objective moral values and duties do exist, leading us to the conclusion that a transcendent lawgiver does exist. Being a transcendent lawgiver means you are the basis of morality, and the basis of that morality transcends ideas like culture, time, or preferences. If there is a standard by which morality exists, there must be a standard upon which to base it. And since that standard seems to transcend time and culture, we would have to note that it would be a transcendent moral value. And since moral values can only come about by a personal force, there would have to be a transcendent lawgiver. Therefore, a transcendent lawgiver exists.